Chapter 266 Lambs and Wolves in Muslim Societies, Part 1. Al-Gadarif city is known for its power supply failure. In order to solve such a problem that is so often repeated, some people resort to the use of diesel generator. The affordability of the generator requires that people must have a good monthly income. Those people, who are not in a healthy state financially, use local lamps whenever the power is blackout. The local lamp will not emit enough light to illuminate the entire house. People burdened by such a limited income greatly benefit by the light of the moon. Apart from this fact, inside the city of Al-Gadarif, the moon has great many admirers. For example, old women love the moon because it often draws their children to them. When the moonlight becomes bright enough, small children will gather around their old grandmothers to listen to their myths, legends, fables, folklores, fairy tales, stories of animals, stories of angels and ghosts, etc. Some of the stories like Fatima the Beautiful and the Woman of the Seven Evils are very interesting to the children. Children never get tired of hearing time and again the story of Fatima the Beautiful, even if the story is told 100 times or more. In fact, some of them will always ask their grandmothers to narrate to them the story of Fatima the Beautiful. The secret behind this great demand to have the story retold again and again is neither the beauty of Fatima nor the story, but the many versions in which the story itself is told. Every grandmother will make it her duty, whenever the story of Fatima is requested, to add some fresh events to it. Some of the grandmothers will narrate the story as a TV serial which would last for a month. Also among the moon admirers we can include the youth. In this category there are the good and the bad. The bad group consists of those young boys who love the moon because it gives them the opportunity to gather at the football grounds at night and consume local liquor and sing vulgar songs. The good group, which will be our focus in this chapter, are the lovers. The moon, as is known from time immemorial, inspires lovers to compose beautiful poems in description of their beloveds. Some of them will long for their beloveds who are living afar, to be with them. So the moon for such lovers stands as a natural representative on behalf of the beloved. In a strict society like Al-Gadarif, where love is strongly condemned as evil, the wish of having the beloved instead of the moon will not be fulfilled. In that part of the world, it is a common phenomenon to see lovers passing each other in the streets without talking or greeting one another. Even though love is a very risky affair, the young boys and girls keep falling into its snare. This may be as some believe that love is irresistible force. One of those victims is a young girl, who is going to be the main character in our subsequent chapters. It so happens that, on a particular night, all the conditions that will cause the flame of love to burn brighter are met. There is a total power supply outage, and the moon has completed 14 nights and has become full moon. The luminous full moon has cast its shimmering light beams and has illuminated everything around her. In that particular night, everything is romantic and wonderful. Her lover is many miles away and his long-awaited fur letter at last has arrived. She is all alone in her house compound. She is lying on the bed with her legs bent upwards. Her chest is raised from the bed. She is supporting the rest of her body with her elbows. She is holding in her hands a sheet of paper which looks like a letter. The only light she has is the silver beams of the bright moon. How many times has she kissed that letter? How again and again has she smelled it? How often times has she pressed it to her chest? How time and again has she read it? Only God knows. For she read it many times while she is standing, repeatedly sitting, many a time walking, over and over lying on her back, reiteratively sleeping on her stomach, and with all these actions, she seems to be unsatisfied. The more she reads the love epistle, the more she desires to go through it again and again. Her beautiful face becomes brighter every time she looks at the romantic message. Her cheeks are reflecting the shimmering beams of the moon. Her eyes glitter like the stars. Her lips have become wet. Her long black hair is covering half of her body. She is very lovely indeed. She is young and very beautiful. She is 17 years old. She is more praised for her beauty than other girls. She received the maximum number of marriage proposals among the girls. It seemed that everyone saw her wanted to marry her. But she rejected every proposal, using her studies as an excuse, never telling anyone the true reason behind her continuous refusal. To describe her beauty in more details or the contents of that letter is a difficult choice. For both options are of great importance and interest. They require great talent and time to do full justice to them. In order to save time and not to expose our immature talent in describing beauty, we prefer to take the second challenge. Besides that, the contents of the letter will give us some clues about the secret behind the many kisses, huggings, and readings. It also will introduce us to the lover and his beloved. Dear Intisar, it has been long time since I decided to write to you and thereby reveal my love for you. Many times I began, but then hesitated to do so. This is because I am not certain or assured about your feeling towards me. My love for you has become too much for me to bear it alone. Since the time I met you with your sister Frida at the cinema theater, I fell in love with you. Whenever Intisar reaches this beautiful sentence, she stops to reflect. Then she asks herself philosophically, is the belief that love begins at first sight true? According to her lover it is true, but she believes that her love for him is already in her heart, even though she had not seen him except on that day. It is not the right time to argue with Intisar about her theory of romance. For as some people say, love is like a beautiful rose which is meant to be looked at and not touched. If we try to open it and examine its inner contents at this stage, we may end up in destroying its outside beauty and spoiling its inner charm. So, he believes that his love started the day he met her and she believes it is already there. It is just a matter of different opinions, but the conclusion is same, both of them have fallen in the snare of love. And from that moment, I began to think about you day and night. I met your sister Frida in the university and also during the last summer vacation, but I did not know that she has such a beautiful sister. Once again Intisar pauses to reflect. Here she blushes and becomes shy. Many people told her that she is beautiful and she always felt proud about it. Even so, she never really enjoyed the word beautiful and understood its real meaning until that day. Before she resumes her reading, she thought of her classmate Salwa, that poor girl who was sold in marriage to an old man who is old as her father. Salwa is also one of the most beautiful girls in the school. Unfortunately, her beauty became a curse and not a blessing. When Intisar envisages Salwa in the arms of that old geezer, she shudders and feels disgusted. She immediately dismisses the horrible sight. Instead, she visualizes herself in her lover's arms. His eyes are trying to look into her eyes. She turns her face to the other side. He puts his hand on her cheek and turns her face slowly towards him. She places her both hands on her face in order that she can remain sufficiently hidden. He takes hold of her hands and removes them from her face. For a moment their eyes have met. She blushes and closes her eyes. He presses her face to his chest and then she realizes he is not there, it is the letter. So, she kisses it again and opens her eyes to read it. I have seen many beautiful girls, but your beauty is unique. Through those few words, which you spoke to me that day, I saw many good qualities in you. Such qualities I have not seen in any girl in our society. Whenever I meet a girl, whether she is alone or in a group, I find her to be just like deaf and dumb person. Of course, our girls are victims to the erroneous belief that, if a girl speaks with a boy she is a bad girl. Even here in the university, the girls are very reserved. In fact, I don't blame them because they had been taught by their conservative parents that, love between a boy and a girl before marriage is evil. At any rate, I found you to be enlightened and open-minded girl, and that is why I fell in love with you at first sight. I still hear the echo of your words. I wrote them down in my diary. Intisar has tried many times to recollect her words which she spoke on that day, but she can only remember some of them. She then makes her voice to sound sweeter than on that wonderful day. Whenever she whispers them to herself, she realizes that she is not only beautiful, but possessing a very sweet voice too. Everything I may forget, but I will never forget your beautiful eyes. Ever since I saw them, they are holding me captive to you. The lover always sees in the eyes of his beloved some charm that no one else can see except him. This is one of the mysteries of love. But, when the lover claims to have seen that charm from the first look, that means the beloved has lovely eyes indeed. While you were speaking on that day, I had noticed that you have the habit of speaking through the eyes. So, your eyes told me more than the few words that your sweet lips had whispered to me. They inspired love, hope, and happiness in my heart. I will remain loyal to them as long as I live. Whenever Intisar reads this passage which speaks about her beautiful eyes, she becomes more confident about her theory of love. She holds that her love for him is already there in her heart even before they saw each other. It is like a hidden treasure waiting for him and him only to discover and possess it, because it is belonging to him by inheritance. She loves him because she was born for that only. He loves her because he has that inborn passion which is meant for her and her alone. They are made for each other. That is why her eyes had revealed to him the love which they have for him even before she could see him. Even if you refuse my love, I will still continue to love you. He is really crazy, says Intisar to herself. How can he still love me if I say no to him? Intisar immediately corrects herself and whispers to the love epistle, it is better for me to die than to say no to you. Every cell of my body loves you. I love you too, responds Intisar, and then she repeats the manifold kissing and hugging of the only object of her distant lover. After I have revealed my love to you, I will like to tell you about my family. My father is one of the most devout money worshippers in our city of Al-Gadarif. Among all the worshippers, he is the most dedicated one. He has more fame and fortune than other devotees. I am the son of his third wife. From his 4 wives, he has many sons and daughters. He loves me more than his other children because I am the only one who refused to follow his example. One day my father said to me, I love you my son more than your brothers because you are the only one among them who loves to accumulate knowledge rather than money. Most of my brothers and sisters were given in marriage for the purpose of bringing more wealth and fame to my father. Intisar, being an intelligent girl, has understood the implication of this sentence. She knows that her marriage to him is not going to be an easy matter because she is not from a rich family. If you respond positively to my love, I will not yield to my father's dictating terms. I will prefer to die rather than to live without you. These words revealed many things to Intisar. First of all, she has understood that he is deeply in love with her. At the same time, she has perceived that they are going to face many problems. She has also anticipated rejection by his wealthy father. Beauty and personality are not going to impress his rich father. These are the only qualities the son will be presenting before his father. Beauty will fade away one day. According to her society, she doesn't have a good character. Here, she remembers the last quarrel she had with her half-brother Omar, who accused her openly of being a loose girl. So, his father will make some inquiries about her and people will tell him that she goes to movies and attends parties. He may tell his father that he loves me and cannot live without me. The father will be left with 2 choices, either to agree for their marriage or loses his son. Being a good father, he will definitely accept the first choice. Intisar for some time entertained such a strong reason which will compel his wealthy father to agree for their marriage. Howbeit, she suddenly remembers that she is living in a society whereby love is strongly condemned as an evil if it happens before marriage. Her people believe and teach their children that no good girl falls in love with a boy before marriage. Intisar wonders why he has to mention his father in his first letter. Why can't he postpone it for his second or third letter? In second thought, she appreciates his honesty and truthfulness. She concludes that he is a man of good principles. He wanted to lay the foundation of their love on the truth. So, Intisar knew and understood that they are going to fight many battles before they can achieve victory. Here, she remembers that her name means victory. Such a realization is like an anchor for her, especially after she has been tossed up and down on the waves of victory and defeat. Another realization which flashed like a beautiful promise in her heart, that she is enjoying full freedom. She has none to dictate terms to her. Her father, Mr. Ibrahim Mustafa Gabor, had died 10 years ago. Her sister Frida is a university graduate and an enlightened girl, and she believes that a girl is free to choose her life partner. So, she understood, the question of forcing her to accept a man whom she doesn't love will not arise. You have become everything in my life. If I receive your positive reply, I will immediately write to your sister Frida and tell her about my love for you. I have her address. Really, Intisar, you have a wonderful sister. She is not only an educated girl, but she is also very enlightened person. Intisar is very proud of her sister Frida, and her lover's words have added to her strong feelings towards her sister. She is not only her sister, but a dear friend too. In fact, she considers Frida to be her ideal in life. Here she thoughtfully asks herself, if her sister is her ideal, then what is her lover to her? Soon the answer arises in her mind and her lips whisper it softly, he is the real. I also saw your sister Firdaus with you on that day. She is a sweet girl, but very quiet. Possibly she is not in a good enough mood to talk that day. Firdaus is truly a very moody girl. Sometimes, she is very talkative, but at other times very sulky. Intisar is 2 years senior to Firdaus, who is 15. It is this double nature of Firdaus which Intisar believes has caused her to fall in love with the two friends of her sister Frida. The two friends, although very close and dear to her sister, did not disclose their love to either Firdaus or Frida. Maybe they are hesitant because none of them is sure about her love for him. On many occasions, Intisar tried to correct her sister concerning this matter, but Firdaus always claimed to be innocent and that she only admired them as brothers. Intisar had informed the two friends that her sister is simply too immature to apprehend or understand the consequence of what she is doing, but regardless, the two admirers didn't give up. Intisar ignored them and said to herself, let all three of them learn their lesson the hard way. In your reply, I want you to tell me about your future plans. For example, do you want to continue your study? I made some inquiries about you, and I came to know that you are in the grade 10, you are one of the brightest students in the school, and your age is 17. You have refused many proposals for marriage because you want to continue your study. If you say yes to me, I have no objection even if you want to go to university. I am ready and prepared to wait for you until you complete your education. As a matter of fact, I love to have as a wife a girl who is a university graduate. Whenever she reads this sentence, Intisar becomes thrilled and very happy to know that her future husband loves to have as a future bride a girl who wants to go to the university. She is always being encouraged by her sister Frida to continue her study and go to the university. I am doing an engineering course at Khartoum University. I am 23 years of age. I have many brothers and sisters, 2 stepmothers, besides my mother. My mother believes that all her 3 sons must marry girls that are beautiful, intelligent, rich, and from well-known families. Intisar knows that she satisfies 2 of his mother's requirements, but those may have not been very important for his father. Unfortunately, women in this particular culture have no voice to raise their objections or impose conditions. The father is like a dictator within the family. She also knows that no wife in her society can force her husband to accept the girl she chooses as a bride for her son. My stepmothers are always engaged in fighting among themselves. For many years they were engaged in this behavior until my mother trespasses their boundaries. When she shared the heart of my father with them, their war with each other ceased, and they joined hands together to fight against my mother. We, the natural supporters of our mother, suffered a lot of false accusations, slanders, and open assaults. Because I am always away from Al-Gadarif city doing my study at the Khartoum University, those stepmothers and their children many times had made malicious, false, and defamatory statements about me. They had accused me of doing all kinds of vices. My mother enjoyed 1 year of peace when my father married his fourth wife. The new wife survived the war of jealousy for only 1 year. Her sudden death at the time of her delivery had brought great happiness and rejoicing among the Allied enemies. Seeing their new enemy was dead, the wives resumed their old war against my mother. In that endless war no one had suffered more than me. As I mentioned above, I am different from my brothers in that I am not money-minded, but rather I love to study. So, my half-brothers had interpreted that as sheer laziness. They also falsely accused me of wasting my father's money in living wild life in the capital city and making my study as an excuse. Believe me Intisar, there is nothing I hate more in this life than polygamy. Intisar, who suffered a lot from her half-brother Omar, understood and appreciated this truthful confession, especially when it came from someone who is going to be her future husband. She believes that there will not be a fear of a second or a third or a fourth rival wife. Intisar is surprised that he didn't ask her about her half-brother Omar and half-sister Badriya. He also did not mention her brother Osman. Osman is 1 year older to Intisar. He is in grade 11 and Firdaz in grade 8. Frida is the oldest one in the family, she is 25 years of age. My father once said to me, "My son, when I married my first wife I enjoyed my marital life, but when I took a second wife my life turned into hell. I thought that, let them fight amongst themselves and let me marry another woman. I married your mother. I kept her very far from them. I put her in a simple house and I hadn't given her gold or costly clothes as I had given them. By doing so, I expected them not to be jealous of her. But all those plans and tricks didn't quench their fire of jealousy and rivalry. They stopped fighting amongst themselves and joined hands against your mother. Before I end my letter, I will like to tell you that last year when I came for the summer vacation my father asked me about marriage. I told him that I did not want to think about it until I completed my graduation. He dropped the idea. But from his talk, I understood that he had a girl in mind for me. This year when I return home I am most certain he will once again open up this same topic. As you know, in our society a man of 23 years is old enough to get married. Only 3 months are left of my study. That is also one of the reasons which forced me to reveal my heart to you. I want you to give me a clear answer, not only about your heart and where it is at, but also about your family and your plans for the future. I am waiting for your reply at its earliest convenience. If I don't receive it within the coming 3 months, I shall conclude that your reply is no. Yours forever, Sami Osman Al-Taib.